Hi, you're watching Movie Guide. I'm your host, Evie Bear Curl, on the red carpet of Big George Foreman, the true story of this amazing heavyweight champion of the world. Let's talk to some of the cast and crew. Did you feel like taking on this role?
You know, a small little, not many people know him, so I'm just like introducing the world to this is who he was, you know.
So was that a lot of pressure when you're taking it on?
It was, and so I downplayed it in my mind. I was like, you know, just going in and playing another character. I'm going to work really hard to try and do him justice. But I think he leads with such a playfulness and such a sense of mischief that I thought it's fun. You know, you have to have fun playing it, and you have to have fun being in these scenes. So that's what I tried to kind of lead.
You did a good job. Like, you had a lot of charisma, and so I think you did a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know, and kind of opposed to George, who was kind of super serious, right?
He's heavier. So yeah, the levity of, I was kind of a foil. My energy was a foil to George's in those scenes where, yeah.
In terms of this movie, you know, there's a lot of interesting points to it because he kind of comes to a point where he, after the fight or whatever, and this is real life, right? So I feel like I could say, you know, he has kind of a come to God moment where he's just like down and out, right?
Yes.
And so what would you hope viewers kind of get from all of that?
Oh gosh, to be resilient, to have the courage to get up after you get knocked down, and to find something to lean on, be it your community or faith or your belief in something greater. Yeah.
You know, I know that at a point he kind of needs to actually, you know, have some faith, right? George Foreman. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, the thing about Mr. Foreman is he did not just so happen to enter the boxing world. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in anything by chance. And he was able to do some really great things, right, without God the first time around. He lost it all. But the thing is, when he found God and he came back, he was able to do the impossible. So by yourself, you can do great things. But with God, you can do the impossible.
And then your character is his wife, right? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I play the role of Mary Joan Foreman, his current wife. She was everything that he really needed her to be. She was a spiritual guide, she was a disciplinarian, a nurturer. She was the one who kept him on track while he went back to boxing. And one thing that I really loved about doing this and that George Foreman allowed me to do was not just have her as a supportive wife role, right? She was a human being, and what was she experiencing when he said he was going to go back to boxing? The fear behind that of potentially losing her family and her husband. I was really happy I was able to kind of hold that in.
Personally, how was it for you doing the role and doing this?
I'm not going to lie, it was some pressure, you know, because I'm playing a real person and I want to honor her life and her legacy. But it was fun because I got to play with accents. She's from St. Lucia, so I got to really dive into a new accent, and I worked that accent all day. I stepped on set the first day and did not break character until I left on the very last day. People thought that was my real accent.
So talk about your character in this movie and how it was.
I'm with it, though.
I played Desmond in it. Desmond's like one of George's oldest friends. They meet in Job Corps when they're teenagers, and he becomes part of George's entourage, and he sticks with him throughout most of his career. Becomes George's money manager, but he's got a lot of problems, a lot of demons, and he makes some bad decisions for George, and sort of ends sadly for them.
It's kind of an interesting character to play when you know what happened in real life too, right? Where it's
Yeah, but someone had to get him to sell those grills, so, you know, someone had to lose all his money for him, yeah.
He's a fun character too, though, because he's always, you know, he's a little bit more lightweight and helps George kind of see the funny aspect.
Yeah, I think that's the hope. Yeah. That was some of the nice part of it is that, you know, he is a kind of supportive, warm, light force for him in the beginning, and then as life takes its toll, it becomes a bit toxic.
But what would you hope, you know, families watch this movie, what would you hope they kind of got out of it? You know, I know he had a, you know, kind of a awakening, a God moment, so what would you kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of the faith or anything, I think it's that people find inspiration in all sorts of different things, and it's never too late, you know, when you may think you're down and out, some sort of inspiration may come along and make you win the heavyweight title again.
Okay, so you play a pivotal role because you're the younger version. Yeah.
Yes, I do play a pivotal role as young George. I kind of set the scene for what you should expect to see as George Foreman later in the film.
So, you're bullied in the film, right, where it shows kind of his hardships and what he's come from, really. And so, in your words, what would you say, like, George Foreman has come from? And what did you learn doing this project?
I learned that no matter how many people are rooting against you, no matter how many people are rooting for the other guy, always believe in yourself.
And he's got a moment, towards the end that he really, people know this story where he really has to give it all to God, and so that's an inspiring thing for families. How was this getting onto this project?
It was amazing. The director, George Tillman, is a great director. He did, I can't really remember his work right now, but it was great. He's a great director. It was he's great with kids. As a kid, I can attest to that. Yeah.
Did you get to work with George Foreman, the real George Foreman, or?
Unfortunately, I cannot meet with George Foreman, but I hope I see him here. Is he coming here?
You'll see him.
All right.
I play Archie Moore. It was a blessing to be able to play the legendary Archie Moore, the great light heavyweight champ, who by the time in this movie, he's a trainer of George Foreman. So it was just amazing to be able to play the part, yeah.
So this is an incredible story because, he's the heavyweight champion of the world, and he's got kind of this, moment of kind of rebirth, basically, like death and rebirth. So what would you like to say about that in terms of audience?
Well, I was fortunate enough that right before George had his comeback, I was working with him on a TV show. He had a TV show on ABC called George, and I was on that show with him. And so we had our stages at Sunset Gower Studios, and right next to our stage, he had a gym built that he would work out at in between shooting the show. So I got to see him working out, and when the show didn't go, he won the title, like right after that.
So coming onto this movie, how did it feel? This is kind of like a full circle.
Full circle moment, just a blessing to be able to participate in it, which is when I got the call that George Tillman wanted to see me for Archie Moore, we did the Zoom call. I was just like, man, just to be able to be a part of George Foreman's story, I'll do whatever, I'll come to set and sweep up if that's what you want me to do. I don't care. I just want to be a part of telling George Foreman's story because I love George Foreman so much.
This story kind of shows his kind of like his fall and his redemption. What would you kind of say about that storyline?
He never gave up. So he tries to teach people never to give up and to keep the drive going. So after he did the drive, he kept pushing himself, and he finally got it. Unfortunately, it was against me, but it happens. Yeah.
When he took the turn and, took off fighting for a while, did you expect that to happen? Or?
He took time off. He wanted to fight me. I didn't back down from the fight. Yeah, not at all.
Well, it's exciting to see yourself on the big screen and relive that.
Well, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm here to see it. Looking forward to it.
Being a fighter, and what would you hope, if someone saw your career, what would you hope that they got out of your career? A lot of families watch fighting.
I don't know what they would get out of it, but I hope that I've given the fans something to talk about, something that they want to cheer. They cheer for me and stuff like that. Yeah, I give them something like that. That's all I can do. Yeah.
Big plot line in it is how he, deals with his wife and kind of his relationship and how he needed to change his heart, really.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that kind of, the strife that was there?
The strife that was there for
their relationship.
Oh, right. When Paula walks into the relationship, she wants George Foreman. She doesn't care about the fame and the fortune. I mean, she was a career woman at a time where career women that wasn't the norm. So she really was not in it for the glitz and glam. She really just wanted George Foreman. She wanted her and her family. And so naturally, when you're bigger than life, you get caught up. And once she realizes that he no longer has room for the family, she makes a decision to start over without him. And it's a tough decision because, of course, she loves her family. She wants to try as hard as she can to maintain it. But again,
Paula was already an aspirational woman. She knew who she was. She understood her value. And so in starting over, she knew that there's still light at the end of the tunnel. It's not over for her. She can start over, rebuild, and that'll be that.
So what do you hope like people get out of the movie in terms of like, you know, you can change, right? Like your heart can change and you can become a better person. But what would you hope people get out of that?
I hope people can watch the film and really see. Let me think about that. I hope when people watch the film and they see this giant, that it'll be representative of all giants, people who are bigger than life, legends, that they're really not so big, that they really have a heart like the rest of us, they bleed like the rest of us, they struggle like the rest of us, if not more. And if you set your mind on something to do something, if you believe in it, if you're willing to put in the work, it's yours.
That's a wrap for the red carpet of Big George Foreman. Make sure to check out the full review at movieguide.org.